VMware Explore 2023. John, great week. And we've got it's Take Your Boss to Work Day.
You know, when I go to Vegas, I really want to go with my boss. So
There you go.
Raghu, welcome to the podcast.
Yes, but you have your own expense report. I have a different expense report. Yeah.
So Raghu, we did see the general session this morning, and
Yeah.
I was so excited to hear all the announcements.
Yep.
And then I got really nervous for you because I saw a lawyer come up, and I was
Yes.
like, "What was that about?"
Yes.
Glad to see everything was okay.
Yeah. That was a move. Did you like it?
I thought it was fantastic. Yeah. I'm a little jealous. I want to get one of those GPUs though. I don't know
Yeah.
if we can qualify.
Yeah, Jensen was backstage and he was like, "What? You're taking a lawyer out with you?" He didn't believe it. So
Yeah, that's awesome. So, it's been a busy week. I'm sure you've spoken to a lot of customers. I'm
yeah.
curious.
Hey, let me try a line that Jensen said he wanted to say, but he forgot to say.
Oh, yeah, let's hear it.
All right. VMware Private AI Foundation with NVIDIA. You're legally required to buy it.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah, all right. Well, then as long as we can expense it, I'm fine.
Yes.
So I'm
Sorry,
sure you
I
had.
interrupted you.
No, it's fine. It's fine. You can do that. I'm sure you've had a lot of conversations this week. I'm
Yeah.
curious. What has been the theme over your conversations this week with customers?
Firstly, they're really happy to be in Vegas, like he was talking about, right? Second, I think, the camaraderie and the networking and all that is very clear. Third, I think the product announcements went off really well for them, right? As you know, many of our customers are just diehard NSX and vSAN and, of course, vSphere customers, etc. And so they were all thrilled that we continue to invest in our core technologies,
Yeah.
right? The spring team, the spring event being here was a huge boost,
Oh, yeah.
right? And the Tanzu app engine was really very well received.
That Spring 1 event was packed. They had overflow. We were setting up in here. This was supposed to be completely closed, and all of a sudden, this whole area was filled because they just couldn't fit everybody in the room. So it was very
That's what
popular.
I heard. I mean,
Yeah.
the Spring 3, and lots of great announcements there as well. And then, of course, the people were very positive on the AI announcements. I got to tell you, this is just anecdotal data. I was actually pleasantly surprised at the number of folks that are actually thinking of starting an AI project. So we caught them at a timely moment. So I thought the number of people starting AI projects will be much lower, but it's pretty high.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we've been interviewing customers today that were talking about how that was definitely timely, and they're definitely looking at that. It's the talk of the town for sure, but it definitely makes sense because you're not going to use ChatGPT alone, with your private data. So it makes
Yep.
sense that VMware comes together with some sort of private AI solution. So the multi-cloud, though, you said that multi-cloud is providing the foundation for AI. So can you expound on that a little bit?
Yeah, so like I was saying today morning, partly as a result of multi-cloud, but partly otherwise as well, customers' data is not in one place. So if you're born in the cloud company, obviously all your data is in the cloud. You can go put it in S3, or maybe you already have it in S3, and then you can pull it into a Databricks or wherever, and then process it, and then feed it to the AI models. But that's not the case for most of our customers. For most of our customers, still the vast majority of their revenue-producing applications are on-prem, right? Mission-critical applications. And besides producing revenue, they also produce data. And so the data is on-prem. Of course, they've got cloud-facing applications or applications running in the cloud. So their data is everywhere. And then if you're in manufacturing or retail, the chances are your data is getting generated at the edge. So this inherently is a multi-cloud problem, which is why basing the solution on Cloud Foundation, which is available everywhere, is such an important aspect.
Yeah, I agree.
I like that multi-cloud, because of all the locations, you need a multi-cloud platform, which we've been talking about for a while.
Yeah, and the whole thesis is that let's bring the model and the computation to where the data is rather than the other way around.
So AI is something that isn't necessarily new. It's been around for a while. I remember
Yes.
watching Watson play chess back in the day and things. What's different now?
So once again, I think AI previously had been a very specialized thing. You want a fraud detection use case, you build a model that can help you with the fraud detection, right? You have a predictive anomaly use case in operations, yes. You want to have a retail theft use case, yes. But all those things are so different, right? And each of them requires a model. But even if you had the same fraud detection use case, right? Let's say you wanted to bring in some other dimension. You wanted to bring in a customer's social history for whatever reason. Then that's a new model. It's not the same model anymore, right? So AI use cases today have been very powerful, but they've been very specific for every little change you want to make. With generative AI, that is different, right? It's a more general purpose model. That's number one. And number two, the access is more or less English.
Yeah.
So it's as though English became the programming language for AI, as opposed to Python or JavaScript or
democratizing the access
Java
to the
or
tooling.
whatever it is, right? So now think about that makes a huge difference. So anybody that knows how to use Excel or PowerPoint or any white collar tool now can access AI. So all of a sudden, think of all the applications you can. I mean, if you are able to provide a cooking recipe, the chances are you can program AI.
I like
right?
that accessibility story.
Yeah.
It's interesting because as you're saying, it's much more broad, the access. I remember it feels like it would have been a conversation I would have had with the largest 5 financial players, but today we had a conversation with a customer on the stage who works for a credit union.
Yep.
And was talking about data science and AI, and it's like that's generally the smaller side of the industry where I'd expect to be on the long tail trend, or not necessarily be able to have the fancy tools that I would have looked at before.
Yeah, and the thing he said about it was, the biggest thing he had was just making sure that he could secure his data, because that's a big concern, right? So how does VMware address that security concern for these companies?
Yeah. So I mean, to your point, I mean, these models are not. I mean, they can be small, they can be large. Or I mean, it does not always have to be a large. Sorry, it does not always have to be a large model. It can be a small model, right? So you got to go back home, crack open your high school matrix algebra textbook, read up, and then you can ready to write a model, right? Or your AP stats or whatever it is called in this country, right? Learn linear regression or something, and then you're ready to do a model.
Well, I know what I'm doing after this trip.
Yes.
Yeah, so we heard the big announcement of private AI. I also heard a slightly different term, which was VMware Private AI Foundation.
Correct.
With NVIDIA. So what exactly is that?
Yeah, that's a great point. So private AI is the architectural approach, right? You can implement it without VMware at all. You can implement it without NVIDIA at all, right? You can implement it in the public cloud, private cloud, wherever. Private AI Foundation with NVIDIA is our specific product offering, right? Just like VMware Cloud Foundation is a product offering, VMware Private AI Foundation, which is built, of course, on VCF, but also has all these other components we showed today, is a new product offering. It'll have its own pricing, right? And we'll announce the availability date, and then we'll be able to sell it to customers. Our partners will be able to take it to customers. So that's what that is. And then the VMware Private AI architecture for open source is effectively, again, a reference architecture, which should have been published today. I've not checked. Is it published today? Yeah. Right? So you can go and read up about the architecture. It uses all open source components, right? And it can be used without NVIDIA, right? It can be used using all open source technologies.
Yeah. First, you got to get a GPU, right? And they're hard to come by.
Yeah, for training, yes. But these days, you're starting to see inference happen on x86.
Yeah.
And there are going to be other GPU providers in the market next year, right? We have a fantastic relationship with NVIDIA, and they are clearly the industry leader.
Yeah.
But if you look out over the next 2-3 years, there will be other alternatives as well.
Absolutely.
Well, I like that we've got a solution for this full stack here, and it kind of reminds me of the early days of Kubernetes, where everyone had to do it the hard way and chisel it themselves, and the developers were frankly learning way too much about infrastructure, versus now you can buy a solution from us or others in the field, but the developer can go focus on developer-ready infrastructure that's closer to the application, and they're not learning containers, they're summoning templates and things they need.
Yeah, exactly. So we do show that sometimes we can learn from our past.
Yeah, that's a good point. And on learning, final question for you, Raghu. A lot of folks come to VMware Explore to learn, to figure out what their career path is going to be. I'm wondering, at your level, what advice do you have for the IT practitioner out there that's looking to, progress in this industry?
I mean, the whole reason we are all in IT, or some form of IT, right, is because I think all of us have a growth mindset, and we have the ability to learn. Learning how to learn, I would say, is probably the most important skill set. I mean, I was joking about high school algebra and whatnot, but really, if you're going to be in the industry for the next 5-10 years, you got to know what a machine learning model is, right? And you got to know the basics of it. You don't have to write one or create one, and then you got to sort of learn from there and see how you can take your skill sets and you can apply to it, right? So learning how to learn is probably the most important thing for all of our IT professionals that come to VMware, but otherwise as well.
Yeah, I like that. Learning how to learn. That's really good.
I've been coming to, VMworld now Explore for, I guess, a decade. And that's generally a central theme is people are come here to learn.
Thirsty.
They're constantly looking to meet the experts, listen to the leaders, see where it's going.
At one point we were teaching people about virtual machine monitor and VMDKs and things of that nature, right? It's the same audience that's now we are talking to them about NVIDIA GPUs and AI models and whatnot. So it changes with the time.
That's exciting. Raghu, this has been great. It's always a highlight for us to get a couple of minutes with you during Explore. I appreciate your time and enjoy the rest of your week.
Yeah, absolutely. And enjoy the rest of the time interviewing a lot of people.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, I'll be watching.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, VMware. I can't talk. Every single time that happens, I mess up the very beginning. I don't know why.
That's why we can add it in post, Pete.
VMware 2023. I did it again. Okay, here we go.
No. Say after
Thanks,
me, okay?
thanks.
VMware. Say
VMware.
Explore.
2023. 2023. There you go.
How are we going to put it all together?
Yeah.
VMware Explore 2023.
VMware Explore 2023.
There you go. You got
Outtake check. We got the
Yes.
outtakes.